So I just want to tell you, this is a rare opportunity that I'm sitting across the table from both the designer and the builder living in her own house. I mean, that's never happened to me. So thanks for the opportunity. And I now look at it as your marketer,
Yeah.
you know, from your perspective, how did that all change the outcome to be those, you know, you're in the, you own those three roles.
Yeah.
So maybe talk to that.
Yeah, it didn't actually start out that way. It morphed into it. And my husband was sort of my number one, you can do it. So we've done several homes before, but never something quite this scale. I loved it. Like I was on site between 4 and 12 hours a day, every day. So the short answer is that not one detail was missed.
It shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
It shows.
Yeah. I've never seen something quite as
And
put together. Sorry.
And on an aside, I have a great deal of respect for all the people that come in and help me create this. So I've seen in the past as builders and project managers and interior designers may treat trades a certain way. Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that. I think our trades and our craftspeople are amazing. I don't think we have enough in this country. And they also taught me a lot, which I loved. We're old. It's great when we get to still learn new things and be passionate about them all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think as far as the sale of this house, I'm 54 years old. I have a 19, a 21, and a 23-year-old.
Wait, did you want that on tape?
Yeah. There's nothing I can do about it. Nothing I can do about it. Comment as you will. And likely the person that buys this house is a young family. I hope it's a young family because 4 of the homes on this street have just been replaced by young families. And it's beautiful to see that energy. It's the community. It's so great. But I'm 20 years ahead of that person.
Right.
I know that they need a side door so they can bring in their skis and their hockey bags and their cleats, and they want to run downstairs with their friends in a basement where they can shoot hockey pucks, and you know, it's a concrete heated basement. You can't wreck it.
Okay, but that's where design and talent comes in, because I would assume, yes, your family occupied this, but you built this with a vision for possibly another family.
Well, I built it. I built it with 25 years of expertise.
There you go.
Right? As I was saying earlier, whether you're a modernist or traditionalist, or you know, you're somewhere in between. First and foremost, I design spaces that are really, really livable. I really think there's a bit of an epidemic in this city where we buy homes, we rip off the back, we put a big extension on the back, and we live in the back, and the rest of the home sits empty. So I designed it so every room is easy to use. There's no wasted space. We can have just Tom and I, it's my husband, you know, in here and feel warm.
Well, I was actually going to interrupt you. I said, no matter what room I'm in, I feel the warmth. You know, and I'm in ceiling heights of what?
10 feet on both floors.
And yet I'm warm and cozy.
Yeah.
So I want to just actually jump into it, because you've taught me a lot about this house. I mean, as real estate, you say, we can sell anything. Yeah, we can sell anything to a point. There's a lot of culture in this house.
Yeah.
I wonder, you know, because every time I sit with you, I learn a little bit more about this house. So just talk to the culture that maybe the typical, let's go beyond the real estate agent, the buyer wouldn't know, would come to appreciate it, but wouldn't know in her 20-minute tour.
Right. I'm a bit of a purist snob. And what I mean by that is I use material for material's sake. So you might not get that as you walk through the house. If you walk through another house and it's porcelain that looks like Carrara, well, it's not going to look good in 5 years.
I'm going to interrupt you for a second, because I don't know if our audience knows This is almost a brand new house.
This is a
Right.
Yeah.
And this is what you
about
pulled off.
15 months old.
Yeah. So now talk to the culture.
How would I word this?
So classic design.
It is a classic design, 100%. And so with that and the finishes that I'm talking about, because all the finishes are real, my hardwood is not engineered. It is solid wood.
Right.
Which means when your little kids are riding around on their tricycles and they ding something in the house,
it's not falling
It's just
apart.
wood.
Right.
It's just wood. It dings into wood. Who cares?
Okay, well, look, I'm...
My countertops are quartzite.
There you go.
It's a natural material.
Right.
It
What about
looks like a marble.
Go ahead.
But it acts like a granite, which means, frankly, you can kick the snot out of it. Like and it looks gorgeous.
So talk about your hand-painted wood kitchen.
It's
cabinets, right?
technically, it's considered a traditional Georgian kitchen. So in days gone by, the kitchens would have been pieces of furniture. And so a Georgian kitchen is all solid wood, came solid wood, and then was hand painted on site. So you can see the brush strokes. All the hardware is unfinished, unlacquered brass. So it ages. So, like we get wrinkles and are supposed to get better, whatever. This house, when I drive by it in 20 years, and whether it's, 3 families have gone through it or 1 family, I know I'm going to look at that house and go, shit, that still looks great.
Stand the test of time.
It looks like it's part of the neighborhood, which is funny you say, Barry, that it's important to tell people that it's new. The amount of people that have come through this house and are confused. Even clients that I have that know it's new sometimes can't quite fathom, because it's been done so well with the way we laid the brick on the exterior and the solid wood windows from Norwood, which is a Canadian
But wasn't
company.
that your goal?
His whole goal.
That was the goal. Like somebody's not walking to this house saying it's a modern home, although you talked about you want to modernize it, change some light fixtures.
Yeah.
And you're a modern house. I mean, you even have modern art on the wall, I noticed. But
I've got one of the things friends and clients love the most, which isn't up right now. We'll have a look at the Christmas tree in the front room.
Yeah.
But I have a swing in the front room. And
you have 2 swings.
I just like to be just one swing, but
I missed it.
I like turning things on their head.
Yeah.
So I believe if you're a modernist, you need to have a few antiques in your house. It gives it character. If you're a more traditional aesthetic, which this is, to have elements of cheekiness and humor and modernity thrown in, it just creates a beautifully curated space. And I think for the buyer, likely we'll be taking most of our furniture with us, but you'll notice that mostly in the lights. I've got some antiques that are 200 years old. I've got some new arterials. I've got some Murano mid-century modern. And when you curate them together, you get this warmth and this appeal, I think.
And then, I mean, I'm 5 minutes after you open that drawer and I watched the soft closing action, your processes are all today.
Yeah.
It's got all the conveniences today.
Yeah.
In a traditional and classic flair.
Yeah.
You're not missing a trick. Our technologies, our finishes. Anyway.
Nope.
All right.
Because when you're doing it all the time, and you're a mother that has 3 kids, and, we have ailing parents. Yeah. So we considered our powder room. We put a curbless shower in our powder room. We made 36-inch wide doors. So
your current library, if somebody wants to grow old or bring in a parent, now converts to a bedroom.
Exactly.
Very
so
thoughtful.
It is sort of a Toronto thing that people have elevators.
Right.
The truth of it is, by the time you need an elevator, you're probably not living in.
You probably should already be in a condo.
You're probably, So, A, they take up a lot of space, and B, if God willing, I wouldn't need one for a long time, it's going to be mechanically obsolete by the time you need it.
So my wife and I laugh because, we used our elevator
for
3
groceries.
years.
Yeah.
Not for groceries. We were on main floor. For luggage.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And
That's
then,
a lot of money in real estate for luggage.
right. And then I look at my clientele.
Yeah.
And there is a population that want a bar, a wine cellar,
Yeah.
an elevator, like a badge of honor.
Right.
But they're not using it.
Yeah.
And they ultimately say, you know what, I need the stairs. I'm at this stage
Yeah.
of my life. So, again, they're not needed. They're not obsolete.
Yeah.
But they're not needed.
Betty White said this. They said, how have you lived so long and stayed so fit? And she said, I got a lot of stairs and a short memory. And I thought, oh, yeah.
How true is that?
We are actually supposed to keep moving as we age.
Yeah. Can I ask you?
Yeah.
What was your inspiration for this house? For this home?
For this home. From an exterior standpoint,
Okay, that too.
was actually, well, because I was the architect.
Yes,
I mean,
right.
I'm not an architect, just
No,
to
but
be
you're
clear,
always
but I'm my own architect. There's certainly a lot of crossover. As we discussed, I have 2 degrees, one in architecture and the other in interior design. And I was born in England. So I think a lot of my aesthetic choices are deep rooted. I think the English aesthetic is one of great comfort. And traditional, and we're part of the empire. But specifically, it was based on my love of a beautiful building in Yorkville. It is presently occupied by Chanel.
Oh,
It's
a
beautiful yellow brick Georgian, and actually was the original Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really interesting. Tetra Verde was in it for a few years.
Yeah.
So that's
Was that when Yorkville was Hippieville in the 60s?
No, it was way before that.
Way
Way
before. Wow.
before that. I'm gonna say early 1900s or late 1800s.
Yeah. So
but
I look at some of the outside elements. I mean, you've got that Ontario yellow brick.
Yeah.
Now, that's not an old crumpled brick we pulled off of an old building. That's a new brick.
Yeah.
To look like a simulated
yes,
brick,
it's,
right?
it's
But-
considered on the vintage
right.
line.
But yet your cedar shakes
Yeah.
wood.
Yeah.
Your the pavers, they are actual historical
Historic pavers.
barnyard pavers. I think the term is right.
They're stable pavers.
Stable, yeah.
And we managed to purchase those from a gentleman that had been hoarding red bricks, sold his house, and the new buyers were getting rid of them. Wow. So we had to manually go through probably about 10,000 bricks to get
what you had and smash it.
the 7 that we got.
Yeah. And probably the smallest feature of the outside, but I think it's the final accent, is that wrought iron gate.
Yeah.
So that, I think you said, I mean, maybe I shouldn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Well,
Or did I
as
get
much as the seller could tell us, we suspect it was from the New England or upper state New York area.
Right.
And they're individual panels. And when I bought them, we were just starting this reno. I didn't know what I was going to do with them, but they're so beautiful.
Yeah.
And again, they're old iron, cast iron, actually, not wrought iron. And the natural patina that they have with my all ivory front yard is just...
Oh, it frames the home.
It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess my final question is, this neighborhood. Like,
so great.
Like, this is not a neighborhood you just came to. I think you've been here. Am I correct?
My husband, when we first started dating, lived down at Yonge and Eglinton.
Right.
And those were back in the rollerblading days. Remember those days?
Yeah, for a week.
And we would rollerblade up and down these streets. And to use an English term, gobsmacked. Thinking, who lives in these homes? Wow, one day maybe. And, fast forward years later, we bought another house on this street. It was the rickety one, and we renovated it and loved it and had our small children there, but it didn't have a yard. So we managed to buy this house, went pre-reno, obviously.
Right, pre-reno.
And it was lovely.
This old house. That got demolished.
We called it the worst house on the street with the best front porch. And it was.
And it's a southern lot too, to boot. Right?
It's, yeah. But, you know, we have a beautiful pool in the backyard, a four-season cocktail pool, it's called.
Right.
Which is amazing. But we are front of the house people.
Right.
This community, we know almost everybody on the street.
So because I don't live here, can you tell me what is the attraction of Lytton Park? Because I'm not surprised, but you live it.
Yeah, and I love it. I love it. Originally, it was the aesthetics. It's tree-lined, beautiful streets, beautiful homes. I love the history of it.
The schooling is incredible, both public and private.
Having 3 children, 2 at the time. When we moved to the neighborhood, we didn't have our 3rd yet. The best public schools in Toronto.
Yeah, rated. Right.
Yes.
Right.
And they are. My kids, we did public school. The proximity to all the private schools it's central to all of them.
And green spaces.
Yeah.
And I know you're like 1 block from Yonge Street, so you have that shop walk.
Yeah, that is one of the best things. We don't have to get in our car often.
Yeah, right.
The kids, when, you know, as they grew up, could easily get on subways. No problem. Although these days are all Ubers, but
and look at you know, I was going to say you made this. So you're a baker, a cook, but you got some wonderful trendy restaurants just at your doorstep.
Everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But the one thing that we didn't know, which we've established, the community. I don't know another neighborhood that knows their neighbors like we all know our neighbors.
You know, I want to tell you something interesting because I raised my family. I was, you know, raised myself in another part of Toronto and then raised my kids in another part of Toronto. And what I noticed about Lytton Park is the people that I've met over the years were raised in the neighborhood. Like they cycle back. They were children and now they are homeowners. A little bit
like a drug. Yeah, they got to come back.
Yeah. Says a lot.
Yeah, it does say a lot. But it's, you know, when I was talking earlier about our old house had the best front porch, and that was key, that we had to have a front
And now you
porch.
have the best. You built the new best front porch.
I did.
Yeah.
And part of it, even when I'm outside gardening, I love gardening and, you know, whatever. We just talk to people. There's a little lady that walks by every day on her walker. She's stretching her legs and we have little conversations. And I just...
So you're hanging out on the front porch?
Yeah.
Do you have a rocking chair?
I do, but it's in the basement. Not quite there yet. But I think the connection to the street and to talking to people as they walk by, I think if we had more of that, honestly, I think the world would be a better place. This backyard mentality and getting in. I mean, it's cold in this country. You get in your car, but we don't. We really are outside shoveling each other's driveways, and the girls are on, 2 new people moved on. We had a party for them. They email if they have a question or text a group. It's just fabulous.
So we touched a lot about community, but your lot, it's sensational. So can you talk to that?
Yeah. Well, it's large. So there are not many 50-foot wide lots that are within walking distance to our subway system. So that's huge. It's south facing. And you can see, from the house. I've got so many windows. I need bright light all the time. The house is always full of light. Even today on a cloudy day, it's so lovely and bright.
So it illuminates your family area, your kitchen, your primary bedroom, and based on your hallway space, it lights up the house.
It does. I also have 2 large, I don't think we talked about this, but 2 large skylights that I put center on the flat roof. Right. So it means that my second floor, all the very large, wide hallways are vast in light. Yeah.
It shows when you walk through the home.
Yes. And the other funny thing, I know this isn't a question that you had asked, but so many people say to me, Beck, you worked so hard on this. The design for years, and then, a year of intense
construction.
They said, how can you just let it go? And my answer to that is, I build spaces for people to enjoy. I'm not sad because I can do it again.
Right.
And I don't mean that I'm doing it again tomorrow. I just mean nothing is going to give me more joy than to know that a young family will buy this house and make beautiful memories. Yeah. I mean, honestly, it makes me emotional. Like I can see. I don't save lives, but I do love when a client gets in touch with me and I have goosebumps and says, I didn't even know, my space is amazing. They've got people over for Thanksgiving and there's joy in spaces. So some lucky buyer. They're going to be lucky.
I've enjoyed this moment.
Me too. Thank you for letting me talk about what it means to me, because it's not I'm not a builder who's flipping a home. I'm a passionate designer.
Well, I have to tell you, I have to confess, this is the first time I approached a client for an interview, and I said, what better backdrop than what you created. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. I hope our audience enjoyed this interview.
I hope so too.
Our time together.